Senator Sean Barrett, 6 minutes.
I echo Senator Keene's sentiments in favour of Senator Kelly and Senator Whelan for their interest in this area, and of course welcoming Minister O'Sullivan as always when she comes to this House. I share the environmental concerns that have moved the senators to put the bill before us, and they'll be dealing with that undoubtedly. But it does raise concerns that windmills are noisy and they do disturb neighbourhoods. It's a matter of opinion whether they're visually intrusive in the countryside or not. My personal view is that they are. But could I raise, Minister, and I'd hope that Minister Rabbit will take it up as well, the economics of this. The OECD review of the Irish economy called for, quote, a discontinuation of supports for offshore, wave and tidal energy. There's a view that the environmentalists have been very successful at. This is all free. It's not. It's highly expensive energy, and it adds to the costs of energy here. The PSO scheme to support high-cost energy costs in 2011 157 million, of which 43 million were for renewables. So I might have some view that it's bad if environmental concerns are raised by Senator Whelan and his colleagues, but the fact that the people doing it are subsidised, making the cost of electricity in Ireland dearer, I think is a matter of some concern. In the international comparisons that I've looked at, Denmark, which is held as the great centre of the wind industry, invariably has the most expensive electricity. Is this related to the amount of wind energy that Denmark is using? Just per kilowatt hour here, 0.29 against Ireland, 0.21, and importantly, the United Kingdom, 0.16. So how are we supposed to make electricity here with wind and export it to the United Kingdom when the United Kingdom seems to have electricity prices about a fifth lower than us? And why are subsidies required in order to do it? In other words, I'd like to see from Minister Rabbit sometime, Minister O'Sullivan, that we actually get the numbers on what this costs. Don't just make it fashionable and it's environmental and all this kind of thing. But if it's damaging the Irish economy, I mean, that is serious. Or turned around the other way, if wind energy is so good, why is it always looking for subsidies, in addition to annoying senators in their neighbourhoods? I mean, what price of alternative fuels do we build in? The members of the Oireachtas were circulated with documents by the Shannon LNG proposal. As you know, it's to import gas in the mouth of the Shannon. Now, they say compared to a UK price of $9.17, they can import gas from the United States at $2.59. So, you know, when we want to prevent imports, and I appreciate what Senator Keane said, that, well, maybe some of the imports are actually better value than the windmill-based projects, and that, you know, there is a revival in the United States economy at present based on its ability through fracking, which I know has environmental aspects, and our colleague Senator Mooney is concerned about its impact in Leitrim, and other people are in Fermanagh. But the United States has become independent by using sources of energy such as fracking, such as gas. If that then becomes the shadow price, which we should evaluate wind and tidal projects, and the OECD tells us to phase out the subsidies. There's under the renewable energy feed-in tariff, which is kind of a backdoor subsidy to the windmill industry. It says it's relatively small, but they recommend it should be phased out over a period of time. And you know, what will the market look like then? And they also point out that if you go for a very high wind energy target, you will, and the cost of connecting this to the grid, which is another problem, the grid going through people's farms and so on, could add, and this is an ESRI estimate, up to 9.8% to an already high cost of electricity in Ireland. That is in the Forfos review of energy competitiveness issues and priorities for enterprise dated December 2011. They also say, Minister, the only way that we're remaining competitive is through a rebate scheme for large users of electricity, and that's due to be phased out this year. So why would we want to add to our electricity bills? Why do we want these PSO levies being imposed? And why did the OECD, to say the least, cast a bucket of cold water over some of the renewables in Mr. President? Ireland finds it. So I'd like to see the economics of this much more thoroughly investigated. We've all heard the advocates and so on of winds and waves and so, but does it stand up in an economy which, as we saw yesterday, the impact of the recession has been borne overwhelmingly by people under 45. We're trying to get the country back on its feet after the disasters of 2008-10. And is this a luxury, as it's been shown in Denmark, that we can't afford? And should we not be looking at the low-cost countries producing electricity, which are the United Kingdom and France? That's what we need to be internationally competitive. So in addition to the environmental aspects, I do feel there's a lack of economic expertise in the Department of Energy. There's loads of advocates, and engineers will build everything if we give them grants so to do, but it's not necessarily in the wider national interest, and the consumer interest, in addition to the environmental interest, may be overlooked.
Thank you, Senator Barrett.